What if all the gold ever mined on Earth could fit inside a single cube just 22 meters tall? That's not bigger than a 5-story building, a silent, motionless block. Yet it's responsible for wars, for empires, for fortunes won and lost. Because behind this yellow metal lies a disturbing truth. For 5,000 years, gold has ruled our economies, our empires, and our beliefs. Welcome to the Finance Legends. This is the story of the most desired metal of all time. This is the story of gold. Before it became a symbol of wealth, before Earth even existed, gold was already here. This metal wasn't born on our planet. It was forged in chaos, in the death of giant stars called supernovas. When these stars exploded, they hurled the heaviest elements into the universe: platinum, uranium, and gold. Billions of years later, these cosmic particles came together to form our planet. And when asteroids slammed into Earth, they buried this rare metal deep beneath the crust. Every gram of gold you hold in your hand was born in the heart of a dying star. It is literally stardust, and maybe that's why it fascinates us so deeply. The first humans had no banks, no markets, but they understood beauty. They found this yellow metal in rivers, malleable, radiant, and above all, eternal. It doesn't rust. It doesn't fade. It never dies. The Egyptians called it the flesh of the gods. The Incas, the sweat of the sun. The Greeks saw divine perfection in it. Chinese emperors believed it could grant immortality. Across the world, without ever meeting, civilizations gave gold the same meaning, a symbol of purity and eternity. And that's no coincidence. Gold cannot be destroyed. In a world where everything dies, it seemed immortal. But beauty alone couldn't build empires. As trade grew, humanity needed a new tool, a way to exchange value, something rare, durable, and universally trusted. So instead of trading cattle or grain, merchants began trading gold. In that moment, humanity invented something revolutionary: value through belief. Gold has no real utility. You can't eat it, you can't build with it. But if everyone agrees it has worth, then it does. That shared belief built kingdoms and gave birth to modern finance. But it also sparked an obsession. The more we believed in gold, the more we craved it. The first stamped coins emerged in Lydia, in ancient Anatolia. A king named Croesus standardized purity and weight, and suddenly money could travel faster than armies. From there, coins spread like wildfire: Persia, Greece, Rome. Rome learned a hard lesson. When emperors debased their coins, trust collapsed, prices soared, and the frontier burned. Centuries later, the Byzantine Solidus restored confidence, proof that gold could rebuild order where paper promises failed. The Middle Ages crowned new legends. Caravans crossed the Sahara carrying dust and bars from West Africa. A ruler named Mansa Musa passed through Cairo on pilgrimage, so wealthy his gifts distorted local prices for years. Gold funded cathedrals and kingdoms, and it fed envy. Then came the 16th century. Spanish conquistadors landed in the Americas and discovered temples covered in gold. To them, it wasn't sacred. It was a resource to seize, to melt, to ship back to Europe. Statues became bars. Sacred artifacts became coins. The gold of the New World funded empires, cathedrals, and wars. But it also destroyed civilizations. And from that madness, a legend was born: El Dorado. A city of gold, a symbol of infinite wealth, a dream so powerful it drove men to cross oceans and bleed continents dry. The flood of metal shook prices across Europe, a warning from history. Even gold can unleash chaos when belief outruns reality. In 1848, a man found a gold nugget in a Californian river. Weeks later, 300,000 people rushed west. It was the birth of the American dream, the myth of the self-made man. The same story repeated in Australia, in Canada, in South Africa. Millions abandoned everything for a chance at riches. But behind every fortune, there was tragedy. burned villages, poisoned rivers, entire peoples erased. Gold created prosperity, but it destroyed everything in its path. The landscape still carries the scars: cyanide heaps, mercury-tainted streams, forests cut to the horizon. Gold is eternal. The cost of finding it can be too. By the 19th century, nations wanted control. They decided that every banknote must correspond to a fixed amount of gold. This was the gold standard. $1 equaled 1/20th of an ounce of gold. It was a promise of stability, money backed by something real. But when crises struck, this golden system became a cage. Governments couldn't print money without owning more metal. War, recession, bank runs, you were only as safe as your vaults. In 1914, Europe suspended convertibility to fund the unthinkable. In 1933, President Roosevelt forced Americans to surrender their gold to the state. The dollar was no longer tied to metal. Faith in gold was replaced by faith in government. After World War II, the world gathered at Bretton Woods. The United States imposed a new order. The dollar became the global currency, backed by gold. For a while, the system worked. Trade expanded. Factories roared. But wars are expensive. Soon, America printed more dollars than it had gold to back them. Other countries noticed, and they demanded their metal back. In 1971, President Richard Nixon addressed the nation. "I am suspending the convertibility of the dollar into gold." That temporary suspension lasted forever. The gold standard was dead. From that day on, our money was backed by nothing tangible. Its value rested on one thing: trust. What came next was turbulence. Inflation roared through the 1970s. Gold spiked as people searched for shelter. Then interest rates soared, the fever broke, and for a time, gold slept. In the 1990s, some central banks even sold their gold, trusting that finance had conquered fear. They were early to forget and late to remember, because in 2008, the world learned again how quickly trust disappears. When banks trembled, when markets froze, gold woke up. Exchange-traded funds made owning it easier than ever, and the old refugee returned to millions of portfolios. Today, gold no longer backs our currencies, but it never disappeared. It sits quietly in central bank vaults, guarded by nations, counted and recounted in dim light on numbered shelves. Bars stamped with refinery marks and serial numbers, traded in London and New York, hedged on futures exchanges, shipped by armored trucks and cargo jets, melted and reborn when the world changes shape. It is the same metal, the same atoms, the same luster, moving through history like a silent metronome. And every time the world trembles, during crises, wars, pandemics, or banking scares, the price of gold rises. Why is it rising now? Because belief has a temperature. When interest rates fall and the dollar softens, gold warms. When inflation whispers or shouts, gold listens. When headlines warn of tariffs, defaults, or conflict, money looks for something that cannot be printed. Governments diversify reserves. Investors buy coins, bars, and shares. The same ancient instinct, the urge to hold a piece of certainty, moves modern hands. Gold does have some practical uses. A thin film in your electronics. Contacts that do not corrode. Dentistry. Once common, now rarer. Satellites that trust its stability in the vacuum of space, but its real power isn't practical. It's psychological. It is a story that has proven impossible to kill. Today, some say, gold is over. Bitcoin is the future. And maybe they're right. Bitcoin mirrors the myth of gold: scarcity by design, independence from states, value forged by collective trust. Digital scarcity versus metallic scarcity. One lives on ledgers, the other in vaults. One weighs nothing, the other everything. Both depend on belief, but only one will still shine if all the screens go dark. There is a darker chapter we cannot ignore: where gold comes from and how. For artisanal miners, a gram can feed a family. For criminal networks, it launders fortunes. For forests and rivers, it can be a slow poison. The ethical bar is rising, from traceable supply chains to stricter environmental rules, because a metal that symbolizes purity should not be born of ruin. So what is gold, truly? A hedge, a relic, a mirror? It is all of these, and something more. A contract we keep rewriting with each generation. When we believe in it, it becomes money. When we doubt, it becomes a refuge. It is the physical proof that value exists only because we choose to believe. And as long as humanity seeks stability in an uncertain world, gold will keep shining, an eternal reminder that even in chaos, something incorruptible remains. If you listen closely, you can hear the quiet rhythm of history, mint and melt, boom and bust, faith and fear. Gold stands at the center of that rhythm, not because it commands us, but because we keep returning to it. Empires have fallen, currencies have vanished, technologies have been born and buried. But the same bar that crossed an ocean 3 centuries ago can sit in a vault today, unchanged, a witness that never speaks and never needs to. This was the Finance Legends. And now tell me, in a world where everything can fall apart, what do you truly believe in? If you want to understand the invisible forces that shape global finance, subscribe to the Finance Legends, because behind every fortune, there's a legend.